specifically that the reason he wanted to play the card was to get through Hornet Queen tokens. And Ranjan actually will have to get through some Hornet Queen tokens in order to win this match. There is a Hornet Queen in Derek's deck. Derek playing the more traditional green-red ramp mana guys and big burly animals monsters deck. So Derek's going to kick off with an Elvish Mystic. Ranjan had the Sandstep Citadel tap. Going to take a peek with Thoughtseize. We see, speak of the devil, Hornet Queen herself. Pulachronos, Arbor Colossus, Sylvan Caryatid, and 2 lands.
This is very interesting because this hand has all the makings of just a green devotion list. If I was in Rajan's seat right now, I would just assume that's what I'm playing against, maybe touching red for Crater's Claws or Xenagos or something along those lines. This is a red-green deck. There's Stormbreath Dragon, there's other red cards as well. So this Thoughtseize might lead Rajan a little bit astray this game.
Yeah, the basic mountain, really the only tip-off that were more a traditional aggro-y mid-range sort of deck. Although, of course, even the full-blown 4 Nykthos Devotion decks are going to make room for 1 mountain because they have wooded foothills.
Right.
And Ranjan is going to get rid of that Hornet Queen.
An indication that he's settling up for a pretty long game here, as there's no immediate risk of Derek putting that into play, but if he thinks the game's going to go on for a very long time, that's the most potent card in his hand.
Yeah. If both players get to just lay their cards out on the table and compare them, I feel like Hornet Queen kind of wins that comparison most of the time. So Ranjan pretty eager to get that out of the way if we're assuming that that Derek's going to get to cast most of his spells. Sarkhan the Dragon Speaker was the draw for Derek, but going to take a scry with this Temple and likely be getting that Sylvan Caryatid into play and set himself up to start playing some whammies next turn.
I mean, this curve is beautiful. We're looking at a turn 3 Sarkhan from Derek's side of the table right now.
And we'll see what Ranjan can do to put a little pressure on. Courser of Krufix, the epitome of pressure. And I'm actually not quite sure what that is. I believe that's the second Courser. Yeah, okay. I was talking to Cedric about this last round. I've literally never revealed a land in my life to Courser of Krufix. Just doesn't happen.
Wah, wah, wah. So he says.
Yeah. Well, I've never even seen someone in the booth do it, or in the feature match area do it either.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant in your own personal.
Well, that too. It just doesn't happen for anyone. It's not going to happen still because that Courser of Krufix is gone. Sarkhan the Dragon Spear are going to come down, do its best Flametongue Kavu impersonation, shoot it out, and linger to start attacking for 4.
And I like that play from Derek just because this deck, there's Hero's Downfalls, there's Utter Ends. Not valuing his Planeswalker too highly right now. If Rajan happens to not have a removal spell, great, then he can start plussing it. But just wants to make sure that he gets him while the getting's good.
Yeah, get your value out of it. And Ranjan considering his options, I'm not sure if there's a 4th land in that hand. If there was, I think Siege Rhino is coming down and mooing, but not an option. Courser of Krufix number 2 going to reveal Courser of Krufix number 3, just like I said.
And now Rajan really behind the 8 ball here.
Yeah, the world is kind of Derek's oyster at this point. Has access to Pulachronos and Arbor Colossus. Both of those things are huge. Going to play a Temple of Abandon. I believe that was a Stormbreath Dragon we got a peek of there.
Yeah.
And the many-headed Hydra himself.
And this is a great play. It would have been very easy to just say, all right, I'll just cast Arbor Colossus. But the problem there is if Rajan has a removal spell for the Arbor Colossus, then the Courser gets to finish off the Sarkhan, and you've lost a lot. This way, even if there's a removal spell, he keeps the Sarkhan or the Pulachronos. Much better sequencing.
Yeah, he gets to leave back that Sylvan Caryatid and keep the Courser from poking in for 2. Thoughtseize from Ranjan, going to take a peek, sees Arbor Colossus, the only takeable spell. Going to leave Derek with a land in play and a Stormbreath Dragon on top. Not that he knows that. But he's gonna find it out real quick, I'm pretty sure. Ships back, Hero's Downfall at the ready.
And with Rajan having stalled on lands, I don't think Derek's gonna believe that there's a removal spell in his hand, but between the Pulachronos, the Sarkhan, and the Stormbreath Dragon, he's easily overwhelming 1 removal spell.
Yeah, I don't think it matters if one of your threats gets killed here. So, fetching out the land. Likely we're going to see him jam that Stormbreath into play.
Attention players.
And
Kirchgassler.
I assume we swing with everything here. I mean, if we're...
Yes.
Your event.
I don't think I would send I'm not sure if I would send in the Mystic.
Sure. I mean, well,
Brett Kirchgassler.
I guess if you let Ranjan block the Mystic, then you get through for at least 8, maybe 9.
Well, I think it's
And-
one of those things where it's questionable if Rajan should be chumping this turn anyway. So
Sure.
you definitely let him off the hook by attacking with the Elvish Mystic, because that gives him an easy block.
Okay. Well, does he actually? I think he's just dead if he doesn't chump, right? 5, 9, 13.
Well, he has a downfall in
Oh
hand.
yeah, sure. Sorry. Yeah. Okay.
So I like not attacking here from Derek because I think
Okay.
Rajan would not chump block this turn anyway, which he's not doing.
Sure.
And if you send the Elvish Mystic in, that's a pretty easy block.
Okay. So, as you predicted, the 3 big scary mythic attackers are going to come in. Hero's Downfall going to take care of the Stormbreath Dragon, leaving Ranjan at 3, facing down Pulachronos, Sarkin the Dragon Speaker, and some mana guys.
Now, next turn, it gets attracted to send with the Elvish Mystic. Because it's unlikely Rajan can generate 2 removal spells. And he needs to do exactly that
Yeah.
to not have to chump block the Pulachronos on the following turn.
As it stands, we are likely in Siege Rhino mode here. So I believe that's another Hero's Downfall. Okay. So just going to pass, sit on the Hero's Downfall. And looks like an upkeep target of Sarkin the Dragon Speaker. So that leaves Derek with just Pulachronos and Ranjan with just a Courser of Krufix to throw under the bus of that Pulachronos.
So I think Derek right now looking at a Pulachronos on the top of his deck. I'm not sure if he wants to move that or not.
Yeah, that's a weird spot.
Yeah.
I think I'm okay drawing it, actually.
It's a good insurance policy because most likely Rajan needs to kill it outright for him to be able to survive this game. So I think you can risk the dead draw.
Yeah, and it looks like Derek did keep it. So you know it's coming. Derek would then crash in. Ranjan, of course, cannot block the Elvish Mystic, has to chump block. She does. So Ranjan going to fall to 3. And drawing a Fleecemane Lion. Okay, I thought he had a Fleecemane Lion on top, but I guess that's not what that was.
He drew.
Oh,
the Fleecemane
there
on
it is.
fire
Okay,
turn.
all right. Yes, Fleecemane Lion. Is that the 4th Courser of Krufix this game?
Believe so.
Still no land, mind you. And Derek gonna untap. Now has that insurance policy. Let's see, does he have enough? It looks like he does. Gonna monstrous the Pulachronos to eat the Fleecemane Lion, I believe.
And just run back the same turn from
Yeah,
before.
sure.
Attack, force a chump block. Yes, Rajan gets to draw a Hero's Downfall, but then you have the Pulachronos back up in your hand.
Yeah.
And all is well in the world.
Yeah, if Ranjan had a removal spell, he was surely using it there. And as the board looks right now, Ranjan can only do this for 2 more turns anyway.
For the record, I believe Rajan did find 1 land off of his Courser. I believe land number 4.
Okay. Oh, yeah, the temple. You're right. All right. So,
All right, and this makes it a little easier.
yeah, there we go. Ranjan was sitting on a Hero's Downfall to buy that 1 last turn, but Stormbreath Dragon going to show up, close things out the way a Stormbreath Dragon does.
And from what I've watched so far this weekend, this matchup feels pretty solid for green-red monsters. Derek's deck is a lot different than the one we had on camera earlier, whereas found room for 4 copies of Sylvan Caryatid, which makes his deck, of course, much more mana-heavy, much more mana acceleration-oriented. But I think the mixture of Stormbreath Dragon and Sarkin and just playing things ahead of schedule, very hard for Abzan mid-range that doesn't really get the ball rolling until turn 3.
Yeah, Derek's list is more reminiscent of the green-red monsters decks from last standard season. Actual just like 8 mana guys and big rumblers, rather than the full-blown like 4 Nykthos, like 12 mana guy, like kind of go crazy situation.
Right. So what's Derek got on the board over here?
Derek is looking at 2 Anger of the Gods, 2 Portent of Betrayal, 3 Destructive Revelry, 2 Genesis Hydra, 1 Hornet Queen to go with the one in the main, 2 Arbor Colossus, 1 Nykthos, Shrine of Nyx to go with the one already in the main, and 1 Nissa Worldwaker.
So Portent of Betrayal is the 4-cost After Treason with Scry one?
Yes.
That's very odd to see in Derek's list here, especially because he generates so much mana that it seems like Harness by Force would be awesome here.
Yeah. I guess, well, double red might be the issue here.
Well, he's already casting Stormbreath Dragon.
Yeah.
That ship's already sailed.
Sure, 7 forests, 6 mountains. Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. I guess Harness by Force seems like the more powerful card. I don't know, scrying for 1.
It's not shabby.
It's a moral victory. You should always scry for 1 if you can.
What's really powerful when you're casting Threaten is casting the second threaten, because then
Sure.
they're down a blocker and you're up an
Right.
attacker.
Yeah,
so.
it's like you always scry one, and it's always a threaten, and you always draw it.
and you get it
cast
the same turn.
Yeah, fair enough.
In any case.
Is that an effect you actually want in this matchup?
Not really. No,
Okay.
I think that Rajan's game plan is more about removal than blockers, because his creatures are pound for pound
Okay.
less effective than Derek's.
All right.
So I don't think he's going to go to it.
Okay, I think, and then he's just looking at the 2 additional Genesis Hydra and the second Hornet Queen.
Yep. On Rajan's side, an Erase, 2 Back to Nature, 3 Drowned Sorrow, 2 Elspeth Sun's Champion, 2 Hornet Queen, a Temple of Silence, a Whip of Erebos, a Murderous Cut, a Silence the Believers, and a Despise. I bring in the Despise, the Silence the Believers, and the Murderous Cuts for sure. Then I'm not sure if you want Elspeth and or Hornet Queen. They both seem like fine, expensive cards to have, but don't necessarily line up the right way against Derek's threats all the time.
Yeah, this is a kind of a gearing up sideboard. I was talking about this last round. It seems like almost one of the hallmarks of this format is that nearly every deck kind of starts one way, whether it be like beginning as an aggro deck and then boarding into control, or beginning as mid-range and then boarding into an aggro deck or something like that. So it kind of feels like Ranjan's list is set up to start mid-rangey to aggressive,
Yep.
and then shift up to being a more controlling, like full-blown mid-range board control deck.
Right. So before we get started with Game 2 over here, I want to talk about SCG Game Night, which is a program SCG has been running for a little while now. We moved it from Wednesday night to any night that the store wants to run it. We give out pins and foils. StarCityGames.com/Game Night for more information. It's too late to sign up for November's kit, but if you're interested in getting on board with December, go online and sign up now.
Do you ever think you'd see a cute ooze?
I do not question Star City Games' ability to put out a cute anything anymore.
fair
because
enough.
That's clearly a core competency of this company.
Fair enough, yeah. Liz Nugent, the artist there, she's been behind all of the creature collection pins and tokens and sleeves and all of that. And Ooze, yeah, just one of the many. But look at that little guy.
He's
all
frightening but delightful.
Yeah, just slimy yet cuddly.
Like a Nightmare Before Christmas kind of stylized. Cute, but
Right, yeah.
still keeps its frightening roots.
Absolutely.
You did touch on a very interesting point here, as you see Rajan mulliganing down to 6 here, which is Magic nowadays feels like, when I was playing a lot of Standard 10 or 12 years ago, the linear decks, the combo decks were so powerful that you had to be boarding in cards to beat particular strategies.
Right.
Your opponent was a combo deck that could kill you on turn 3, or they were playing with a bunch of green creatures trying to rush you out. Now it feels like the way Magic is now, it's more about answering individual cards, at least in Standard, than it is about trying to fight strategies.
Right. Well, kind of yes and no. I mean, like, yes, it is, but that doesn't change between post and pre-board. I
Right.
don't think.
Yeah.
You're still trying to like trade your Thoughtseize and Heroes Downfalls for like the best cards possible.
There are
and all that.
some decks like, the boss Sly list that are about strategy rather than
Yeah.
fighting specific cards. But in matchups like this, it feels like it's much more about strategy.
Yeah, and I think one of their biggest
Or
strengths.
specific cards rather, not
Yeah.
strategy.
One of the biggest strengths of those decks has been that they kind of get to not play the whole like trade your rare for mine kind of game.
Exactly.
We're getting started in game 2. Ranjan down to 6 cards on a mulligan here. And looks like a turn 1 Elvish Mystic from Derek to get the party started.
Derek's hand flush with acceleration again, an Elvish Mystic on turn 1, and a Caryatid ready to go for turn 2 potentially.
Ranjan going to take a peek. Sees that Caryatid. Course of Krufix, Crater's Claws, Lightning Strike, Genesis Hydra, and a Mountain there at the end. So again, a little of everything. Courser is probably the most reasonable card to take on curve.
Yeah, Courser and Genesis Hydra, this feels like this is
Yeah.
the decision between these two cards.
Yeah, Genesis Hydra, of course, the most powerful spell that Derek has access to. But gonna be a little ways, several turns and a couple more mana sources Derek needs to find before that Genesis Hydra is like a really problematic card.
Correct.
Whereas Courser Prufix, if it finds lands, which who knows, that feels like maybe the more immediate concern.
And you can see a problem with the Abzan mid-range deck here is Rajan's hand is 2 Heroes Downfalls and Elspeth some land. No way to generate card advantage and susceptible to just mana acceleration into big stuff.
Yeah. Elspeth kind of generates card advantage.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
assuming you get to keep it.
Down the road, we
Yeah.
might be talking about that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and not even that far. Ranjan is basically going to get to trade. Well, okay.
Or you can just miss a land drop.
Yeah, turns out he didn't have a third land drop anyway, so I guess not a problem. But if he had that third land, he was just basically going to get to trade like spell for the next 2 turns. He's actually going to get to do that anyway, as he plays Fleecemane Lion off the top. Derek's going to spend his turn killing it off with Lightning Strike, poking in for 1 with that Elvish Mystic, and replacement Fleecemane Lion.
I think that's a spot where Derek probably should have just cast the Polukranos last turn out of respect for mana efficiency, because there's no threat of Ranjan going monstrous next turn. So I'd rather just spend the maximum amount of mana now and then Lightning Strike it down the line when it matters.
Yeah, I agree. But Derek's going to keep the board clear. So going to play Crater's Claws, kill that second Fleecemane Lion. Again, I feel like this is actually playing Ranjan's game.
Exactly. Now he gets to trade his downfall for Derek's turn this turn, probably Derek's turn next turn.
Yep.
And if he makes his land drops, he might be able to get to Elspeth at a high life total and a relatively clear board.
Yeah, just Elspeth versus mana guys. Polukranos to play for Derek. Hero's Downfall, predictably, the play right back for Ranjan. Got to pass the turn with mana up again. Hero's Downfall available. Now, you do get into the spot eventually where you're trying to trade Hero's Downfall with Genesis Hydra.
Sure.
But we're not quite there yet, and Derek is just going to play Polukranos number 2. It meets the same downfall as his previous copy. And a Thoughtseize off the top from Ranjan. Going to take a peek again. Now 2 Genesis Hydras and an Elvish Mystic there.
And I guess Derek held back on the Elvish Mystic last turn out of respect for Bioblade.
Okay. Yeah, he chose to attack with Elvish Mystic rather than play the second copy. That is odd. He may, out of respect for Bioblight or end hostilities.
Yep.
All right, so just gonna unfurl the full-blown mana acceleration here. Rattleclaw Mystic off the top, along with that Elvish Mystic that was already there. Derek now has access to gonna be 7 mana at least on his next turn.
Though I think in that spot, Derek would have been better served just morphing the Rattleclaw Mystic, because it's more mana when you get the unmorph. So if you have the mana to spare, there's really no reason not to play it face down. Also, if he wants to attack next turn with the Elspeth, it's nice to have a 2 toughness creature as opposed to a 1 toughness creature. Small thing, I doubt he's attacking, but
Yeah.
with the Genesis Hydra in hand, all I want is the most mana.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's 1 fewer peaks that he gets to take with the Genesis Hydra, which is, it certainly could be relevant. And just as we drew it up earlier, Ranjan gonna get to cast that Elspeth, make 3 tokens, and really only has mana guys to contend with for now. Although, here comes Genesis Hydra.
Subject to change.
Yep. Spin the wheel. I don't miss Bloodbraid Elf.
This is a working man's Bloodbraid Elf.
Yeah. So there's a Sarkhan.
That's not shabby.
Yeah, that's gonna do. Or Arbor Colossus. I would lean towards Sarkhan here, but
Well, the ground's getting locked up.
Yeah.
So I think that Derek's plan here against opponent with no hand, just take Sarkhan and hope he can't find an answer in a few turns.
yeah, the Sarkhan's gonna not quite kill the Elspeth, but
I'm not even interested in killing the Elspeth.
okay. We're just going for the head.
I mean, these tokens don't matter too much.
Fair. I guess yeah. Well,
Going to Elspeth over the course of 2 turns seems a lot less efficient than putting him to 1, if you assume that your Sarkhan's unchecked.
sure. All right. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it's so weird doing that when your opponent's at 9 rather than 8.
Well, he's got Crater's Claws, he's got Lightning Strikes, he's got things that matter.
That's fair. And then, of course, this Elspeth, if you leave the Elspeth unchecked, it also eventually gets out of hand, but maybe not fast enough to matter.
This is I don't know.
Well, Ranjan gonna... Oh, he did go to the Elspeth. Okay. So Elspeth gonna fall to 1 loyalty, and Ranjan gonna take it back up and pass it right back. If you do go to the head, then as Derek plays Courser of Krufix, takes a peek at Polukranos. If you do attack Ranjan with that Sarkhan, then I'm trying to think. Am I turning off?
He's behind going ultimate.
He is? Okay.
Yes.
Ranjan would go to -3 before he would get to ultimate?
Correct.
Okay. Then yeah, I guess in that case, I would be inclined to agree. Although, well, the turn when you have 9 tokens, you can also probably attack past the mana guys, but then you're at 1, so.
Exactly. Yeah, I think I understand the urge to just trade off there, but I think if Derek assumes he's getting in 2 clean hits with the Sarkhan, because he can't attack on the ground, he's better off just going ahead and going at Ranjan instead of the Elspeth.
Ranjan had it looked like an Absent Charm. And I'm not sure what his... It looked like he tried to charm the Sarkin and then realized he couldn't do that quite yet and had already tipped his hand.
And now this is a big problem because Derek can just start attacking on the ground and using Sarkin to, maybe he wants to shoot down a token, maybe he just does nothing.
Yeah.
But now this is a big problem for Ranjan because I think he was banking on that Obzon charm, taking care of the Sarkin, and now that plays off the table.
Yeah. And especially once Derek gets to untap with that Polakranos, which he did draw and cast, that's gonna I think he can take out all of the remaining tokens. Well, there's only one left at this point, but even if he hadn't attacked there, I'm pretty sure he could have cleared the board.
Correct. And now what is Ranjan supposed to do? He may even have to just draw 2 cards.
Yeah, just cash it in, sign in blood, and try and find two removal spells, I guess.
I think Ranjan was in a fair amount of trouble anyway.
He was.
But this has not helped.
No. Yeah, Genesis Hydra kind of did what Genesis Hydra does when it gets cast for X's 5.
Yep.
Sarkin the Dragon Speaker certainly played admirable mop-up duty as well. And it looks like we're crashing in. No. So Ranjan going to take a peek. Is not going to end step sign in blood. And the Sarkin has gone ultimate at this point. So
that's not a bad consolation prize.
Yeah, why not? I mean, if you can't attack with it.
Right. All right, well, I think this might be a first for SCG Live.
Yeah.
First Sarkin emblem.
Nice. Have an actual physical Sarkin emblem just hanging out. Stormbreath Dragon going to join the party. Polakranos, Stormbreath, Genesis Hydra, all attacking. Any 2 are lethal. Ems and Charm going to take care of 1. Murder's Cut going to take care of another, and Chump Blocker for the 3rd. So only Genesis Hydra left on the table. Not a bad turn for Ranjan, but...
Unfortunately, this Sarkin emblem is no joke.
No.
Especially in a spot where Crater Claws is going to be lethal.
Yeah, I mean, there are plenty of live draws for Derek. He gets to take 2 every turn. Ranjan gets to take 2 this turn as well. Draws and casts Absent Charm in Sign and Blood mode. Finds Siege Rhino, that's big.
I still think he's not necessarily on Chump Blocking Detail, but...
No, not this turn.
He's close.
So if he... Okay, so looks like...
And now the Sarkin does force a Chump Block.
Yeah, okay. So I was thinking you only got 2 cards, but I guess you get 2 plus your draw step.
Yeah.
Not
it's
bad.
A lot.
Yeah, that's a lot of cards. All right. So yeah, the Sarkin is going to come in for half of Ranjan's life total regardless. And yeah, we've got to throw the Rhino underneath the 5/5 Genesis Hydra and still fall to 2. I don't think we're getting out of this one.
I don't think so either, because even something like Doom Blast now is covered by the Planeswalker. Not to mention Derek's several draws a turn.
Yeah, even if we had something like...
okay, I guess guess we'll play on for a little bit.
Yeah, sure. Let's see what happens. Yeah, even if we had like a planar cleansing effect to actually clear the board properly.
Yeah.
3 cards a turn is going to, solve that problem within a turn for Derek, I think.
Yeah, Hornet Queen here will be able to do a lot of blocking, but again, keep in mind, Derek with a lot of burn spells in this deck.
Yeah. So 3 looks at, we know he played 1 Crater's Claws, 1 Lightning Strike earlier, so it looks like he is on a 5-outer to draw a burn spell and just clear, end the game right now. And that's 3 peaks. Does not find a burn spell. Finds a Xenaghost and a Stormbreath Dragon. A lot of options. All right. We did get a land off of Courser after all.
Here you go.
Fine. Powerful card. And Derek doing the math to see if he can actually get through that last point of damage through all of these Death Touch flyers. I don't think we're there yet. No, what he can do is actually just play Stormbreath and pass the turn. And then the ultimate will kill Ranjan. Probably, yeah. But just going to get it into play and... Okay, going to attack. We're bringing the pain. All of these are lethal attacks, so I mean, these
are reasonable blocks for Ranjan, but again, it's just with no pressure in play at 1, trying to beat this emblem, I think, is going to be almost impossible.
Yep. I'm tempted to pull a Cedric here and say if Ranjan wins, I will do a cartwheel.
Yeah.
I have no intention of paying off that statement, by the way.
This is a much, I believe this board state's a bigger lock than the one that, that Cedric made that claim on.
I agree. So Ranjan, I didn't catch what he drew. Oh, there was, Siege Rhino, already in play.
Yep.
Siege Rhino almost with flash, it was in there so fast. Up to 4, so still just dead, Disarkin. So
There's a chump block.
No, we do have the one token. Derek, again, going to take 3 peeks to find a burn spell. We no longer get to see them all as they come off, so it looks like just a Xenagos.
2 lands in a Xenagos.
Takes a scry, looks like put a land on the bottom there. So the Sarkhan, of course, is indestructible once it's attacking, so the Death Touch insect, actual chump blocker, rather than actually getting rid of the threat.
Not a big fan of the token attack here because it,
Yeah, I don't understand.
Ranjan has to block, so.
I didn't have to. He'd fall to 2. He gained some life from that Siege Rhino, so.
Sure.
But
You can't blight the Sarkhan, so.
Yeah, I don't
but
really.
all for naught.
Yep. This was very much kind of a garbage time situation. Like, it didn't really seem like it mattered what Derek did much at that stage.
Right. Derek Thill, 2 games to 0 with green-red monsters, a deck we've seen have a lot of success on camera so far this weekend. And depending on breakers, we'll see how it goes, but potentially in a spot to draw into the top 8 next round.
Yeah, not a deck that I think had a lot of hype. Even going into the standard season and even after the Pro Tour, and it was just kind of a deck that was there. People knew it was there.
Well, I think the Grand Prix in Los Angeles has given it a shot at credibility, won that event. But there's a lot of room for customization too, so you never know what exact build you're going to be playing against. Derek's build, much different than the one we had on camera earlier today.
Sure. And honestly, this deck is not so far from the teamer decks that have been building Steam. There is room for customization, even in the sense that, like, you can play Knuckle Blades if you'd like.